His use of the word bloodbath during a riff about Chinese car makers that's creating new headlines and headaches for his campaign. The Biden campaign seizing on the remark and rejecting the Trump campaign's claim that it was about only cars.
Donald Trump picks up some new attention for controversial comments.
Welcome to this week's Wacky Moments of Leftist Extremism. It was a week that was a bloodbath of stupidity from the leftist media. They slayed intelligent thought wherever they could find it. The media went nuts in slanting and taking completely out of context Donald Trump's Saturday remarks warning of a bloodbath for the U.S. auto industry if Joe Biden succeeded in pushing through electric vehicles that were assembled with help from China.
Controversy. Donald Trump facing criticism after this warning at a weekend rally if he loses the election.
Over the weekend, Mr. Trump sparking controversy at a rally, saying there will be a, quote, bloodbath if he loses in November.
That comment drawing a lot of attention as Republicans and Democrats debate both what the former president actually said and what he may have meant by it. But it was his use of the word bloodbath during a riff about Chinese car makers that's creating new headlines.
Whether or not Trump was talking solely about cars or about the broader economy when he used the word bloodbath, it wasn't the only dark warning that he made about what would happen if he loses in November. He also said that if Biden wins, quote, I don't think that you're going to have another election in this country.
Oh yeah, that's so very dark.
I have no doubt in my mind that another Donald Trump election might be the last free election we ever vote in.
And unless Democrats, Independents, Republicans of goodwill turn out, we will see, frankly, the last free and fair election in our lifetime.
When Donald Trump, if he were to enter that White House again, we also have to understand this will not be his last term. It will be the last presidential free and fair election this country sees.
So many Americans just don't see the threat.
But we can't have this election be the last fair and free presidential election in this country. So we absolutely have to flip the House.
Oh my goodness, a Democratic congressman just said if you don't vote his way, it will be the end of free and fair elections. Democrats must be autocratic dictators, I guess, and along with just about every MSNBC host, like Joe Scarborough, who was at least shamed enough to take down his own stupid bloodbath social media comment after being called out by Elon Musk and others. Now, everybody knows that Trump was talking about cars and the economy, but not the leftist media and certainly not Jim Acosta, who gathered his CNN panel of fake news morons on Wednesday in order to double down.
All right, to discuss, we're joined by Tom Nichols. He's a staff writer at The Atlantic, and Ruth Ben-Ghiat. She's a professor of history at New York University and the author of Strong Men, Mussolini to the Present. Thank you so much, both of you. It's a terrific conversation we're going to have here.
A terrific conversation, something that hasn't happened on CNN since Acosta came on board, but sure enough, the stupidity was rampant.
And he doubles down in two ways, and you heard them both here. One is, everybody does it. I'm no worse than anybody else. We all talk about bloodbaths. It was a bloodbath at the grocery store. It was a bloodbath at the gas station. No one really talks that way.
Yeah, no one talks that way about the economy except those in the leftist media.
Many call Florida's insurance market a mess, and that's one of the kinder words. Real estate deals are falling through, and one insurance executive says she is preparing for a coming bloodbath. We'll talk to her next.
We're calling it ticket sales turned into a bloodbath with thousands, millions, I should say, of fans reporting massive glitches.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it for anybody. People who don't think this election is going to be a bloodbath are mistaken.
It's okay when they do it, though. ABC's vacuous The View kept that falsehood about Trump going, repeatedly insisting that they were taking him completely in context.
We're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars if I get elected. Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. But they're not going to sell those cars.
So he says his bloodbath comment was referring to the auto industry. Now, I don't know if that's how y'all heard it, but that's not how it sounded to me.
So no, we're not taking it out of context because the context is his history and his life.
This is the bullcrap that they wanted to talk about, not the news that An illegal immigrant recently detained at the border told officials that he's a member of Hezbollah and wanted to travel to New York to carry out a terror attack with a bomb. Well, that wasn't mentioned Sunday night or Monday morning by ABC, CBS, or NBC on their flagship morning or evening news shows. ABC and CBS ignored Hunter Biden not showing up for the public congressional testimony that he actually asked for on Wednesday. And on Thursday night, ABC and NBC decided not to mention illegals pushing through the National Guardsmen at Biden's border. The White House still hasn't commented on that incident as of Friday morning, so I'm sure the media is still waiting for their talking points. But on the state media, PBS, well, the news that they were occupied with covering were their concerns that Catholic hospitals don't really want to offer abortions.
In most cases, there are no complications, and the birth is much like one in any hospital. But if there's an emergency, pregnant people can find themselves caught between accepted medical standards and the religious-based policies of Catholic-run facilities.
Wait, what about the pregnant women?
Pregnant people can find themselves caught between accepted medical standards.
How about the factual standard that only women can get pregnant? That's not a standard that PBS wishes to uphold, I guess. It ranks way low, like the standards of journalism that these leftist media outlets have.
Today, Governor Kay Ivey signed that new anti-DEI bill into law. The bill, which takes effect on October 1st, prohibits the teaching of, quote, divisive concepts, including that individuals are inherently responsible for actions committed in the past, or that meritocracy is racist or sexist. It also bans schools and agencies from sponsoring DEI programs, and it bans trans people from using restrooms that align with their gender identity.
Well, that law just makes way too much common sense. Time for a crazy MSNBC freakout.
Spring 1963. Thousands of students gathered to protest segregation in Alabama. They faced fire hoses, police dogs, and arrests while calling for the diversification of classrooms in one of the most segregated cities in the country. That was just 61 years ago. And today, it became that much harder to learn that history.
So how does prohibiting teachers from telling students that they're responsible for something that happened decades before they were born prohibit them from teaching about fire hoses, police dogs, and segregation? Well, it doesn't. It's completely fake news. But we know fake news and insane rants of leftist propaganda are the media's specialty.
And this madman, whose brain is clearly addled and little more than a ball of smooth clay at this stage of its deterioration, makes these promises to feed chum to a base that has been drilled by right-wing media to now care more about stopping migrants, even if they themselves live thousands of miles from the southern border.
Yeah, if you live away from the border, you shouldn't care about your country or those illegals. I mean, if you're among those that do that.
Trump, in many ways, is just their useful, scary clown.
Oh, I can think of some much scarier clowns. Can't you? I'm Eric Shiner, asking you not to clown around. Head over to the MRC homepage, click on that donation button. Check out MRCTV.org for the latest videos, information, and entertainment. And be sure to like, share, and subscribe to these videos on the social media platforms that let you see us. We'll return next week with another look at leftist media madness.
I want to invite you as my guest on a very special, once-in-a-lifetime, 7-day post-election cruise in the Caribbean. It's going to be a blast.